Have you ever wondered why certain women possess an almost magnetic power over men that seems completely effortless and natural? They never chase attention, never beg for validation, never create dramatic scenes of jealousy, yet men orbit around them like moths drawn to a mesmerizing flame. This morning, while sipping your coffee, perhaps you observed that colleague who radiates quiet confidence. She greets everyone politely, smiles with perfect timing, but never loses herself in endless conversations. And that man who usually remains indifferent to everything suddenly looks at her differently. He seeks her gaze, lingers near her workspace, invents excuses just to speak with her. What does she possess that you haven't yet discovered within yourself? Carl Jung, the brilliant mind behind analytical psychology, identified a fundamental principle of human attraction that will completely transform how you understand relationships. The more emotionally available you make yourself, the more you lose your mystery, and paradoxically, your seductive power. Elegance in indifference isn't coldness, it's a subtle art that our grandmothers mastered perfectly. They understood that a woman who respects herself never chases a man. She creates conditions for him to naturally gravitate toward her. Picture this scenario you probably recognize all too well. You've been waiting for his message since morning, checking your phone every 10 minutes. That notification sound makes you jump. Your heart accelerates instantly. When his message finally arrives, you respond immediately with enthusiasm, sometimes sending multiple messages in succession. Your pulse races as you analyze every word of his response, searching desperately for signs of genuine interest. You watch those 3 dots indicating he's typing, interpreting the time between responses, analyzing his emoji choices. But something strange begins happening that defies all logic. The more availability you demonstrate, the more detached he becomes. Your messages become less prioritized, his responses grow shorter, his invitations become increasingly rare. Jung called this the shadow dynamic in relationships, a psychological phenomenon that governs attraction. When you project excessive energy towards someone, you create an imbalance that unconsciously pushes them away as they seek psychological equilibrium. Human beings naturally value what offers slight resistance, what isn't immediately accessible or guaranteed. Consider your most satisfying purchases throughout your lifetime. Wasn't it often that coat you hesitated to buy for weeks, that house you visited multiple times before deciding, or that Parisian restaurant requiring reservations weeks in advance? Anticipation, scarcity, and difficulty of access dramatically increase perceived value. Things obtained too easily lose their flavor. Their perceived worth diminishes rapidly. In romantic relationships, this principle becomes exponentially more powerful and transformative. Elegance in indifference means maintaining that precise distance which preserves your mystery without creating excessive frustration. It's responding to his messages, but not always immediately or predictably. It's accepting his invitations when they genuinely appeal to you, declining graciously when you have other commitments. It's showing interest in his personality without reorganizing your entire existence around his schedule. It's maintaining that secret part of yourself, those thoughts you don't share immediately, those personal projects that belong exclusively to you. Men need to feel they're progressively discovering who you are, that they don't have access to all your mysteries from day one. This gradual revelation of your personality maintains his interest and feeds his desire to know you more deeply. If this content helps you understand the intricate subtleties of human relationships, consider subscribing and activating notifications, because your support enables us to dedicate the necessary time researching these topics to deliver exceptional quality content. Each subscription genuinely matters and encourages us to explore these fascinating subjects that captivate your mind even more profoundly. Now let's return to this elegance that drives men absolutely wild. Jung observed that the masculine unconscious is naturally attracted to what it cannot completely possess or comprehend. This is what he termed the anima, that mysterious feminine aspect that fascinates men and compels them toward conquest. The anima represents everything that escapes rational logic, everything that awakens imagination and profound emotions. When you become too predictable, too available, you lose this anima dimension that activates his conquest instinct. You become familiar, acquired, and the excitement of discovery gradually fades away. However, this isn't about playing unhealthy psychological games or manipulative tactics. Authentic elegance emerges from your own fulfillment, your capacity to be genuinely happy with or without his presence. This attitude springs from self-confidence, not calculated strategy or artificial manipulation. Let's examine a concrete example many of you will immediately recognize and relate to. You begin dating someone who truly appeals to you on multiple levels. Initially, everything progresses wonderfully and feels absolutely perfect. He calls regularly, invites you to restaurants, appears genuinely interested in knowing you better. You spend delightful evenings discovering common interests, sharing personal stories and experiences. Gradually, you begin adapting your schedule to accommodate his availability and preferences. You cancel that beloved yoga class to remain available should he suggest spontaneous plans. You postpone girls' nights because he might call unexpectedly. You decline important professional invitations, fearing you'll miss precious moments with him. Your Saturday morning routine at the farmer's market becomes negotiable if he suggests brunch instead. Unconsciously, you become increasingly centered on him and decreasingly focused on your own identity and needs. Your conversations with friends revolve exclusively around analyzing his behavior and words. You scrutinize every gesture, every phrase, searching for hidden meanings and reassurance. This is precisely where the dynamic begins, its inevitable reversal and transformation. He senses this energy turning entirely toward him, and paradoxically, this creates discomfort within him, not because he's cruel or indifferent, but because psychologically, he needs to feel he desires someone who maintains her own life, passions, and distinct identity. This invisible pressure from your constant expectation eventually suffocates him, even if he doesn't consciously recognize what's happening. Elegance consists of maintaining strong identity while remaining genuinely open to relationship development. Continue your yoga classes, even when it means occasionally declining his invitations. Preserve girls' nights, even when he would prefer spending that time with you instead. Pursue professional projects with the same intensity you maintained before meeting him. Maintain personal rituals that fundamentally define who you are as an individual. This approach isn't selfishness, it's sophisticated relationship intelligence and emotional maturity. You demonstrate that you're a complete, fulfilled woman who chose to share her life with him rather than lose herself within the relationship. This subtle distinction is absolutely crucial and transforms his entire perception of your worth and desirability. Jung emphasized the importance of what he called individuation, the process by which we become fully ourselves without defining our existence solely through relationships with others. Individuation represents the capacity to remain whole, even while deeply in love. An individuated woman is infinitely more attractive than one who dissolves herself into romantic relationships. She radiates that quiet strength which fascinates because it appears unshakable and authentic. Concretely, how do you cultivate this elegance in daily life and interactions? First, preserve your personal rituals that bring joy and meaning to your existence. That morning reading moment with Earl Grey tea or strong espresso coffee. Sunday walks through farmers' markets discovering fresh ingredients and artisanal products. Hour-long telephone conversations with your sister that nourish your soul. Wednesday evening swimming sessions that clear your mind completely. These small pleasures that define your character shouldn't disappear when a man enters your life. They constitute your identity, personality, and particular charm that makes you uniquely attractive. Second, maintain your projects and ambitions without compromise or hesitation. If you dreamed of learning Italian before meeting him, absolutely continue that journey. If you planned redecorating your living space in that Scandinavian style you adore, proceed with those plans. If you considered changing careers or launching your own business, don't pause these dreams for a budding relationship. Your personal dreams and projects shouldn't be suspended for any romantic connection, regardless of its initial promise. Instead, they provide that depth and inner richness that genuinely fascinates intelligent men. A thoughtful man is attracted to a woman with ambitions, dreams, and vision for her future. Third, cultivate your social life independently of his presence or involvement in your activities. Your friendships shouldn't become mere showcases for your new romantic relationship. Continue seeing friends, sharing experiences with them, maintaining bonds that nourish you emotionally and intellectually. Organize those dinner parties where laughter continues until unreasonable hours. Maintain cinema and theater outings that enrich your personal cultural development. An intelligent man prefers a woman with rich social circles rather than one who transfers all emotional needs onto him exclusively. Your capacity for passionate conversations with diverse people reassures him about your intellectual depth and social sophistication. This emotional independence represents perhaps the most crucial aspect of relationship elegance. You can feel happy seeing him without your happiness. Depending entirely on his presence or attention, you can appreciate his company without his absence, plunging you into anxiety or despair. You can live fully during periods when you are physically separated from each other. This emotional stability, which Jung called psychological maturity, enables authentic love without excessive neediness or toxic dependency patterns. It protects you from emotional roller coasters that exhaust both you and him unnecessarily. This exact quality drives men wild with attraction and genuine admiration. He senses that you love him by choice, not from desperation or emotional necessity. He understands that you could live very well without him, but prefer living with him instead. This fundamental difference completely transforms relationship dynamics in your favor. Instead of being someone who fills an emotional void, he becomes someone who enriches an already fulfilling existence. Consider modern messaging and communication patterns in our constantly connected era. The art of waiting has become rare and therefore incredibly precious in today's world. Our grandmothers wrote letters requiring days for delivery, creating emotional intensity that instant exchanges have unfortunately lost. When he messages you, resist that immediate impulse to respond within 5 minutes of receiving it, not to make him languish maliciously, but because your life is sufficiently rich that you're not constantly available for immediate responses. Perhaps you're finishing that important report at work that requires your complete attention and focus. Maybe you're engaged in fascinating conversation with a colleague about an exciting project collaboration. You might be savoring solitude with your book in that Montmartre cafe you absolutely cherish. Perhaps you're preparing dinner with careful attention, listening to that playlist that elevates your mood perfectly. Respond when you're genuinely available, mentally and emotionally present for meaningful conversation. Your responses will naturally become more authentic and thoughtfully considered as a result. This approach radically transforms the quality of your exchanges and communication patterns. Instead of superficial, constant conversations that eventually become tiresome, you create valuable communication moments that matter. He anticipates your messages because he knows they emerge from genuine reflection, not automatic reflexes or desperate attention-seeking. Your exchanges become deeper, more meaningful, and significantly more satisfying for both parties involved. Jung discussed the importance of natural cycles in human relationships and romantic connections. Just as nature has seasons, love requires periods of closeness, alternating with periods of healthy distance. This relationship breathing pattern is essential for maintaining long-term desire and sustained interest. Observe Parisian trees during autumn months as they demonstrate natural wisdom. They don't desperately cling to their leaves as seasons change naturally. They release them gracefully, knowing others will bloom again when spring returns. This natural wisdom should inspire our approach to romantic relationships and emotional connections. When you're together, be completely present without distraction or mental preoccupation. Listen to him genuinely, without thinking about anything else competing for your attention. Share your authentic thoughts, creating profound intimacy that genuinely nourishes your relationship. Laugh together, discover together, build precious memories that solidify your emotional bond. But when separated, live your personal life fully, without guilt or excessive nostalgia. Enjoy these moments for self-rediscovery, nurturing other relationships, pursuing personal passions that fulfill you. This capacity for present-moment awareness, whether with him or without him, represents the signature of a balanced and genuinely attractive woman. Elegance in indifference never means actual indifference or emotional coldness toward genuine connection. Rather, it's the capacity to love without self-abandonment, to desire without begging, to commit without losing your essential identity. This is what our grandmothers called having dignity and self-respect that commanded natural reverence. They instinctively knew their value didn't depend on masculine approval, but on genuine self-esteem and personal integrity. They wore dresses with pride, not primarily to seduce, but because they respected themselves deeply. They spoke with confidence, not to impress others, but because they held well-considered opinions worth sharing. This inner confidence, independent of others' validation, forms the foundation of authentic attraction that transcends superficial appeal. It manifests in your posture, straight and self-assured as you move through the world. In your speaking style, clear and composed during conversations and interactions. In your reactions to various situations, maintaining calm and thoughtful responses under pressure. You don't constantly seek approval, don't justify every choice you make to others. You exist fully with your tastes, opinions, preferences, without needing his validation for your authentic self. This psychological autonomy fascinates because it has become increasingly rare in our society, where people tend to define themselves through relationships rather than individual identity. Practically, this also means knowing how to decline gracefully when situations don't align with your values or preferences. If his restaurant suggestion doesn't genuinely appeal to you, politely decline while proposing an alternative that excites you more. If his behavior displeases you, express this calmly, without aggression or harsh reproaches. If his schedule doesn't accommodate yours, suggest alternatives without excessive apologies or self-deprecation. This capacity to establish boundaries with gentle firmness demonstrates profound self-respect and personal worth. When a woman truly respects herself, she naturally inspires respect and admiration from others. Men sense they're dealing with someone valuable, someone they must earn, rather than someone they can take for granted. This distinction transforms everything about your relationship dynamic and creates lasting attraction based on genuine respect rather than superficial infatuation. By cultivating this authentic elegance, you'll discover that your attractive power extends far beyond romantic relationships into every area of your life. Colleagues will respect you more and seek your opinions on important matters. Friends will request your advice and appreciate your emotional stability during challenging times. Family members will admire your serenity and balanced approach to life's complexities. This centered and serene way of being naturally attracts quality people while repelling those who don't deserve your time and energy. You become a magnet for meaningful relationships and genuine connections. Jung said we attract what we are, not what we desire or desperately seek. By becoming this balanced, confident, independent woman, you naturally attract men who genuinely appreciate these exceptional qualities. You'll no longer need to chase love desperately. It will flow naturally toward your authentic magnetism. This inner transformation requires time and patience with yourself as you develop new patterns and release old habits. Some days you'll feel tempted to revert to previous reflexes, being overly available, actively seeking his attention through various means. These temporary setbacks are completely normal and part of the human growth process. What matters is gently returning to this elegance that honors your true self, this way of being that reveals your absolute best qualities. Remember that genuine love never requires you to diminish yourself or compromise your essential nature for its existence. True love invites you to become the finest version of yourself while maintaining your authentic identity. A man who truly deserves you will admire your strength, not exploit your vulnerability. He'll appreciate your independence, not resent your self-sufficiency. He'll respect your boundaries, not test your excessive availability or neediness. By elegantly managing these impulses toward excessive neediness, you create necessary space for authentic, balanced love to emerge and flourish naturally. You offer the relationship opportunity to develop organically, without pressure or forced acceleration. This represents Jung's profound secret about human attraction and lasting romantic connection. The most powerful attraction emerges not from lack or desperation, but from personal fulfillment and emotional completeness. Not from dependency patterns, but from inner freedom and psychological independence. Not from desperate pursuit, but from the quiet elegance of a woman who knows she deserves to be chosen, not conquered through manipulation or excessive effort. This internal revolution will transform not only your romantic relationships, but your entire existence and approach to life itself. You'll discover profound joy in being authentically yourself, that serenity emerging from complete self-acceptance and personal growth. Paradoxically, by ceasing to desperately seek love, you'll finally discover the genuine connection you've always deserved.